Welcome to Take It from the Ironwoman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Ironwoman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Ironwoman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Ironwoman. We only have special guests, and actually I was a guest for women in communication, and I met a lot of interesting women, and not everybody reaches out to me, but Dorie did. And I know why, because we're both into sport. Dorie, introduce yourself a little bit. I mean, let me just say something about your fantastic background. She's a former chief marketing and communications officer at leading New York and New Jersey health systems, an Emmy Award-winning network television producer. And the thing can go on. But also in her sports, I was a nationally ranked junior tennis player recruited to play for Harvard. What a background. But give us your story. Obviously, we can all read, but when we hear it from you, it's even more colorful.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm in a very enthusiastic brand builder of my institutions that I've worked with and my own personal brand now on an odyssey after having worked in healthcare systems. What is my personal brand? How can I share my toolbox with new clients or new institutions? And so I'm on my own personal journey after following my curiosities all my life. I was passionate about tennis growing up. I grew up in a motel in Southampton where my grandfather built it by hand, brick by brick. He was an immigrant from Greece and he was a house painter in New York City. They wanted to fish in Montauk and they needed a place to stay. They bought a piece of land for $500 in Southampton, and they did it by convincing their cousins, two different cousins, to buy 3 pieces of land, including my grandfather. And then my grandmother, when they built the house on that piece of land, my grandfather was still a house painter in New York. She was making more money renting rooms at the house than he was in New York City. They decided to build a motel and they found another property, built it. I grew up in the motel meeting people from circus performers to pheasant hunters to professors. My grandfather had the bright idea to build 3 tennis courts to bring in more customers to the hotels. I started playing with everyone, and then I begged them for lessons. I got a coach from the college to come over. He did, my grandfather. And then it began. I focused. I became nationally ranked. My vision was to experience and travel and meet new people. That's sort of the motivation for everything I do. From that moment, growing up in Southampton, going to Southampton High School, going to Harvard, I'm really in love with international relations, people from around the world with different backgrounds and stories. I started my career in broadcasting. That's sort of the beginning.
Where do we start to dig in deeper? It's just amazing that sometimes you start so small. The grandmother made more money and has a vision of the tennis court. More people are coming. How does that change your mindset on looking out for opportunities, going to Harvard and seeing all opportunities? And you said you were traveling for 4 months. Let's dig into that a little bit.
I saw that if they had an idea, they would test it. We actually had the idea that I would teach tennis as a 17-year-old or 16-year-old, become a pro on the tennis courts. Okay, I guess that could be an idea. How much am I going to make? And I charge $5. And then people started paying it. And then I'm like, okay, we'll charge $20. And then soon it went up and up and up. So I really learned the idea. If you have an idea, it's fine to have an idea. Just give it a try, do a pilot, see how it goes. And then you can go for more. But it is the aha moment of, oh, this could be interesting or that could be interesting. And And then you can try those things. I'm entrepreneurial in a way of doing that. The way I got into Harvard was I did well in school. I believe I was valedictorian or salutatorian. It was so close. My high school had such amazing people, really very diverse group of people. I was also playing tennis, and my girlfriend on Long Island, who I had competed against, called up and said, Dorie, she was a year older. She goes, Dorie, they're looking, the Harvard tennis coaches is looking at me. They could look at you too. So all of a sudden, someone put in a little bird called and said, you might be able to go to Harvard. That was the seed that I needed to also apply, also get the attention of the coaches and follow through. That it's the opportunity, but also you hear a lot of people talking about words, conversations. These conversations where you're meeting people and brainstorming, I have to say, are crucial in my life. Every major opportunity, or most of them, came through a conversation with someone. It could have been anyone. And so I do encourage people to brainstorm with their friends, with colleagues about anything they might be working on, because through those words, you may end up somewhere where you never thought you could have been. I would do that. And then you brought me all the way to travel, working in a corporate job, or I worked in nonprofit hospitals most recently. It's a huge commitment where we went through COVID. We're constantly working, supporting the frontline workers. I worked in marketing and communications, being there for the teammates, and travel is wonderful, but sometimes hard to do. And so when I completed my position last December and started a sort of an entrepreneurial journey that I'm on, the first thing I did was travel. So I did go to India. I went to a wedding with a friend and we participated in a family wedding. I went to Rishikesh where they do yoga and people live in ashrams. And then I traveled on a ship, on a cruise, where we started in Singapore and ended all the way in Abu Dhabi, and saw places that I hadn't been to ever. And being in the Far East really opens up your mind, and you learn things that you're not learning here in the West. I definitely want to go back and explore more. It's eye-opening.
And we have to interject, on your website, I found Camel Festival in Abu Dhabi. How interesting is that? It seems like you're finding those nuggets that nobody finds.
Well, again, I have wonderful friends in various circles, you would say. So a friend of mine who is a Delta flight attendant, very proudly for 25 years, she used to be a journalist. She is very interesting and like 100 times more curious and outgoing than me. Okay. So she called and said, I have a friend who knows the Prince of Abu Dhabi, and we're invited to a camel festival for free for 2 weeks, and we can sleep in the tents and go. And all right. So I actually went ahead of her and I started filming it because everyone had to go and leave a present. And so my present was filming and doing a story that I would put on social and give to the host. So that's how it happened. And while I was there, they had a British couple take care of several guests. If you were from the West, you would have a person assigned to you that was either British or whoever, but that was English speaking to take care of you. Mine was a British couple, and they took me everywhere, and I was filming all the different events. I learned quite a lot about the camel festivals. There is a category of the longest and most beautiful eyelashes for a camel. And they're actually, you vote on, or it's a camel beauty contest. And one of the criteria is the length of their eyelashes. You would never know this unless you went there and asked questions. Culture for me is so important. Perhaps that's where it all comes from. I would say I'm a cultural nomad from being Greek American and knowing that my parents came from a foreign land in Greece. It's so magical. At 18, when I went for the second time, I couldn't believe where I was. It was so exciting to me. That feeling of being in a new country and getting to meet the people of that country is a very exciting feeling. That's where I'm sort of led. Wherever I go, I want to integrate quickly. What I've learned in my travels or studying abroad is if I can go and integrate as quick as possible, I'm going to meet as many interesting people as I can, and it's going to be a better experience. I'll figure out where the party is that night or where the book club is, and I'll go try to integrate. And that integration has resulted in numerous exciting adventures and friendships. For example, when I went to Paris for 1 week last fall, I went to a college meetup. And I met 20 people that night and they were so impressed. They're like, "Oh, you don't live here?" I said, "No, I'm on vacation, but we have something in common. I'm here and I want to learn about you all." They couldn't believe it. And I met wonderful people that night and I still kept in touch with them. Living the life of the place that you're visiting, to me, is really exciting. That's my motivation.
We have so many things in common. I was in Rishikesh. I was at an Indian wedding. It's about that curiosity. And I love that word, that you are integrating and immersing yourselves rather than say, "I went to Harvard, I know it all." And no, you're expanding your horizons. When you play tennis or golf or whatever other sports is in your life, is you grasp those people, you can find commonalities and have fun, do something special.
Yes, yes. And sports, those are the ultimate adventures or connections. If you're playing tennis with a group of people or you're going to play golf, those are wonderful circles as well. But the issue is my circles are from sports, but then they also are in culture and travel. And so I'm like 360. And that's why maybe I have too many interests and I have to prioritize, but I do the best I can.
I remember I had a boss and he says, "You're too curious. You don't need to do more." This is the wrong answer. We all need to break out and explore as much as we can because we only have one life. I recently interviewed a lady from Lagos, Nigeria, and she says, "We love to party. We only have one life." What is next for you?
Yes, yes. Oh, me? Embarking on my own company in marketing and PR. I love working with some nonprofits, with some individuals, clients, really getting their story out there. And at the same time, I have a desire to get more involved with the sports marketing community and the power of women in sports right now. It's an amazing time where women are getting better sponsorship, monies, equality, equity. And so focusing on that. And another interesting area is feminism. What is the state of feminism today? And in fact, I'm working with a colleague on a survey regarding the state of feminism today. We're going out to women and asking them. I'm sort of interested in the state of women and have we achieved equality? Is there equity? And can girls and women achieve their dreams, right? I feel I have been able to do that, and I still want others to be able to do that. Having a company where it gives me more time to work on all these exciting adventures is great.
And you could also be a mentor in a way because you come from the marketing field, you're in the sports field or interested in the sports field. So there is a huge connection that you can tap into.
Well, mentorship is important to me. And I had an intern last summer and this summer. And the one last summer, I posted a job at the School for Visual Arts for an intern. I paid her because I pay people. And then this summer, she got me, her brother's girlfriend needed an internship from USC. So she came to work with me for the summer and sharing my experience with her. But then the most amazing thing is they're learning so much in school about technology. It's just, and you've got this super duper person with knowledge that you may not have. And so people should be open to the younger generation and what I can offer her in terms of whatever help I can give, strategy, career strategy, how you move into internships or training programs. I can't tell you the strategy I used when I first started in TV. That's a whole other story, how I got into network TV when I at first didn't know anyone. And then I met Bud Collins and he adopted me, quote, adopted me. And my girlfriend, who I told you helped me get into Harvard by telling me about the Harvard tennis coach, he mentored us to get jobs at NBC. She worked in the Philadelphia Inquirer. So those mentors were so powerful to me. So if I can help others, and I do. I was on calls yesterday with people trying to reimagine their career and happy to do it. I do spend a lot of time with people, and people spend so much time with me even now. We all have to help each other.
We can lift each other up. And where can we find you? Give us your contact information.
Yes, my website is Dorie Klissas, so DorieKlissas.com. There's a place to send a message, and my email is very simple, dorie.klissas@gmail.com. and happy to connect with folks. And like you said, when we worked together, you were like, connect with me. And also one thing you said was you asked us to share our positioning statement with the group. You had said, you must put yourself forward. Okay, I'm listening to Suzanne. I'm going to put myself forward. I'll be the first one to give my positioning statement. So you really helped me get out there. And then it all resulted in connecting and on LinkedIn and so on. But I agree with you that some people won't do it. And what's wonderful when it happens, because then now we're connected.
Yeah. Well, I'm all for connecting. And I always say networking, when you look at that word, it has the word working in it. It is working when we're doing it, but it's also, we have to do it. And it's a lot of work to do it. But when it's happening, like what we see now, it's fantastic. So we wish you good luck. We'll check in with you on your platforms, the curiosity and more travels. Nothing but the best to you. But thank you for sharing your insights.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. It was such a pleasure meeting you and speaking with you today. Thank you.
What are you taking away from this podcast episode? Be curious. Take on all the opportunities that are ahead of you. Why not? Take it from the Ironwoman. Has episodes every Monday. Chime in, learn from people, grow with people, ask questions. And also Take It From the Ironwoman is the book Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. See you next time, and thank you for your support. Write a review, like us on your preferred podcast platform.